Welcome to the Awakened Collective, where we explore the topics of love, spiritual consciousness, and our divine purpose on this planet. Join us as we uncover the truth that our thoughts shape our reality. Welcome to the Awakened Collective podcast. I'm Rick Gregory, and it is a pleasure to be with you this Sunday morning. And a special thank you, as always, to Audio Alchemy Productions, Daniel Anderson. Thank you, my friend, for the gift you are to the world and helping us all get our messages out. May I remind you, speaking of messages, that you have never, ever, ever, ever been separated from your Creator. You are the divine extension of your Creator's love on this planet, and we have never been separated from one another. Truly, if you think about it, all the darkness on our planet, is a result of the thought, somehow, that thinking that we are separate from one another. We are one. I have some very special guests this morning, and continuing with our emotional intelligence theme for a couple more weeks, actually, to go. And Ascension Leadership Academy, these folks have been with me on this journey. It's our first married couple. And if you want to see some previous episodes, you can go back and look at the last 4 or 5. We've had a bunch of folks on here, but this is our first married couple. So maybe a little bit different, a different perspective. Just saying. So this morning we have Silas and Javi Kim, and I'm going to welcome you. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being here with us this morning. The blessings that I see in both of you are kindness, love, humility, gentleness, and strength. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you to introduce yourself. Silas, if you want to kick us off, tell us how you came upon this emotional intelligence training journey, what it's shown you, how it's perhaps shaping how you see yourself, the world around you, and the service you bring. Anything that comes to mind, take it away.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us. So my name is Silas, and the way we came across this emotional intelligence program and journey, actually, I heard about this many years ago. I almost wish that I had done it sooner. But Javi and I were at an event, and we actually ended up meeting with a couple of people that were um, already graduated ALA. And just after spending a couple of days with them, we just noticed the way that the way that they were showing up in the world, and the way that they were showing up in community, and the way they were supporting the person that actually brought us all together was also an ALA grad. And after just spending a couple of days together, Javi and I got together, and we thought to ourselves after a couple of conversations as well, wow, that could be really powerful for us. And so we decided to take the leap, sign up for ALA, and it's been quite the journey, especially doing it together and getting to debrief after each session and really get to discuss our takeaways from ALA. And overall, I believe that it's just made our relationship just that much stronger and deeper. I mean, we've been together for going on 11 years in September. So it's been uh, really good way for us to just get deeper and deeper, and continue to get to know each other, even though we've been together for so long. It's just yet another phase in our relationship and in our lives so far.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on the 11 years coming up.
Thank you.
I'm just curious with your interaction with other people, just like you said, you came in after having experienced someone who had gone through this process and being attracted to what you were seeing. Are folks around you guys beginning to see something different about y'all?
I would say so, for sure. As I have more conversations with different people, I think even just the way that the different types of concepts that I would talk about that I normally wouldn't talk about with friends and acquaintances. I think people can see a big difference because I tend to be a little bit more quiet. So when I'm a little bit more talkative, and especially talking about certain things that we've learned in ALA, it's definitely been noticeable for sure, and especially for Javi, but won't speak for her.
I'll let Javi speak for Javi then. Take it away, Javi.
Yeah, so, what attracted me about the people that were in ALA was this, like, very open-hearted, generous, giving spirit, very much playing team. We were a part of a staff that was running an event that one of our friends runs called 3 Day Think Tank. And so it's a lot of like logistics, moving pieces, and a lot of things that needed to get done. And it was like, no matter what, like they were there. They were there. They were ready to help. They were ready to go. And there wasn't this like lays around, someone else is going to do it. Like, I think a big part of what ALA has shown us is that I get to take responsibility and radical accountability for the things that I cause and create in my life, good and bad, so really coming out of victim mentality, and when something bad happens, reframing that to be something that's going to support you in your growth. And we've all been through these hardships in our lives. That's something that ALA really shows, that like we are all different, but we are all very similar, and we deal with the same things. And regardless of the traumas and the poor experiences that life has shown us, to like rise from that and choose the more empowering story, and really use that hardship to propel ourselves forward and keep moving and growing in life. I think it's just a beautiful space to do that with other people as well, supporting you in creating that vision for yourself.
Yeah. How powerful is that? I mean, that we get the choice. It's otherwise we just keep that vicious cycle going. The first part of the first level one, when we're just looking at ourselves. I see it, so easily, that we could have stayed in that victim mentality, could have stayed in that place where we continued to blame our parents and their parents and whatever, our upbringing and all of the things that went on. And where if we really take a step back and look and see that folks were just doing the very best they could do with what they had available to them at the time, so many people not looking at themselves, but we get to stop that cycle, and break free from that. Has that been your experience as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think I was holding some resentment towards the way that I grew up. I think there were, everyone has things that with their parents, right? And my thing was that I felt kind of like a tertiary parent, because I was the only girl in my family, and I had an older brother and a younger brother, and I was like always kind of in the middle of things. And I think stepping away from that idea that I have to like hold everything and like be a martyr for my family, and then end up being resentful for things that I did of my own choice. It's like, that's not a way I wanted to live my life anymore. And so I really am so grateful for all of the things that my parents gave us, did for us, sacrificed for us, that they, like you said, they were doing the best. There's no parent handbook manual that, this is how to be a parent. And so just finding that grace and that forgiveness for any like mistakes that could have happened, and accepting that, it's how I became to be, how strong I am today, and how I work so hard and I care about the people I love, and all of those things my parents also gave me. So being generous and open hearted. Um, so I think being in ALA has shown me that there's so much more to be grateful for than there is to be angry about, and there's no reason to be angry or resentful about anything anymore.
Yep. It's how, I've been learning that for a while, is the recontextualizing the things that we see. It's how we perceive it, and we can change that, how we look at things. And I learned in the rooms of recovery that, resentments are a killer. For an alcoholic, they'll take you out. And one of the steps in the 12 steps is making a list of those resentments, and going back as far as you can, so that you can deal with those things and see them differently. And I knew I was holding onto a lot of shit when I was able to go back to like 4 years old, 5 years old, back to kindergarten, and remember things that happened. That stuff will take you out. And it's really powerful to, have the opportunity to look at yourself and to work on that and become free of that. It changes everything. How about you, Silas? Were there things in looking at your childhood, family, things that you were able to move beyond? in this process?
Absolutely. It's been a very powerful exercise and looking back at the past and my childhood, and really how it's made me who I am. I think coming from a very religious family, as well as a family that moved around quite a bit. By the time I was in fourth grade, we had moved around 5 times, and just getting to know how moving around so many times really not getting to have those close relationships, and of course all the programming that comes along from having immigrant parents, right, that are just doing their best.
Mm.
I noticed how all of it combined has really made me who I am, and I'm very grateful for it. And at the same time, I get to move on, right, and really grow from a lot of uh, the the past programming and the ways of being, and stepping up into just new ways of being, and really creating my own identity and not being so attached to my previous identity that was essentially handed down to me.
Mm. I love that.
Yeah.
And life is, for me today, it's really just about experiences and learning how to not assign meaning to experiences, that this is a bad experience, this is a good experience. They're just experiences all working together to help me to evolve to be a better person, um, more spiritually evolved, more awake, more available to help. I was thinking, with I know the first weekend with ALA, they call, sorry, help me out here. What's the second
Discovery.
weekend is Discovery.
Discovery.
I was getting confused because I had done a similar one called Insight years ago, but Discovery, um, and then the second weekend being a breakthrough. And what I was seeing for myself, I do the podcast, so folks might think that I'm thinking outwardly and I'm reaching out, but there was for so many times I would leave here and I would just go back into my box. It's I didn't see that I was not making myself available. I was not living out loud. And I learned that about myself in ALA. I saw where I was holding back. I am now able to make decisions daily to step outside of that comfort zone. And because we are all able to impact lives around us, that's what this whole journey is about, in my opinion, anyway. And I used to hide. And I don't know if you can relate to any of this, but I saw those tendencies in the discovery process. I saw where those things were showing up in other places in my life, where I had opportunities to help other people that I didn't step into, conversations that I could have started with others that could have led to wonderful things, because there are times when I have taken that initiative. I mean, I'm here in this studio because um, Glenn told me about the fact that Danny did this, and I had to take some initiative to get that conversation going. So it just taught me a lot about myself. And on the surface, none of that may have appeared, earth shattering. But what I saw in ALA and in this emotional intelligence journey is that anytime I withhold myself from the world, from others, I too experience lack in return, because the energy that I put out is multiplied and returned to me. So I believe that we are the people that we have been waiting for. And the impact that we can have on this planet is immense, but it's not done by being silent. And I think love is an action. So I'd like for you to comment on that. Whoever would like to comment on that.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. Yeah, it's so funny because I think I've been generally a very outgoing person. I generally, even before ALA, I'm talking to new people at the party, I'm dancing, all these things that ALA can also like provide you with. It's like supplementing me with. Um, and I would never, like the other day, I was going to sit by myself at lunch. I work at a hospital and we have our full hour lunch break because we're here in California. And I ended up sitting with two women that I'd never met before who work in different departments than me, who are from different culture backgrounds than me. And we had a wonderful 45-minute talk while we ate our lunch about life, about what it means being a woman in America, about, one of them has a child that's my age and the struggles that she's facing with her. And, all of these concepts that it's like, I didn't even know you 30 minutes ago. And here we are talking about, like, you're about to move me to tears, talking about how being a mother has changed your life, So it's like given me more opportunities to strengthen deeper connections, even with people that I don't know. And in some cases, something ALA has shown me is that it's easier to open up with strangers because you don't have the bullshit that's like you need to filter yourself, or you need to worry about what people are going to think, or right, you're going to be judged, because we're all there for the same goal, to better ourselves and to better the community at large around us. So there's no reason for you to kind of like shy away from being your true self. And I think that's such a beautiful reflection of what ALA allows you to do. It really allows you to be your full authentic self with
Yes,
everybody.
absolutely. How about you, Silas? Any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I tend to I have real tendency to kind of be a little hermit, right, and stay inside. But I realized that the more the more I go outside and have conversations with people, the better I feel. And especially being here in the kind of the Austin area, it's really easy actually just to talk to someone that's um, really like spiritual, and you can have deeper conversations, which coming from the Northeast, it wasn't as common. So kind of getting used to that aspect of being down here in Texas, and also obviously being as part of ALA, and really having these deeper conversations, and building deeper relationships with people that I had just met, even just very, very recently, has been super rewarding, and very interesting experience, to say the least.
Yeah. It has Joe Rowland. Joe, if you're listening, I just mentioned your name. I met Joe first weekend, and I mean, I truly love the guy. I mean, he's just an amazing human being. And we're talking only a matter of weekends, and I feel so connected to him, and I know we will be friends forever. And it's just a wonderful thing. I was thinking too, Glenn and I go out to eat a lot. And, just everywhere you go, if we could grasp the fact that we've said the universe is rigged in our favor, that we are walking on this planet and we have these interactions that somehow seem to me to be ordered. And if we could realize that the folks that cross our path are crossing our paths for a reason, that there's always something we can learn from someone else. And I know, like, I have also been very withdrawn at times where I'm going out to eat. I just want to eat, and pay my bill and leave. But that waiter or waitress, I may never cross paths with them again. And I see them differently today. I see them today. I want to reach out to the folks around me. There was a guy in a parking lot yesterday at a grocery store that I was watching because, he put his cart away, which I think is a wonderful thing. But not only did he do that, he started grabbing the other carts that were all messed up in the corral, and loading them, together, making it easier for the guy or woman that comes out to then take them and bring them into the store. And, I know he didn't see me watching him. And to me, that is so freaking powerful. The message that we send out into the universe when we know no one has to be looking, and we walk in integrity, we do that next right thing. We don't realize the energy that that's being put out in the universe when we do those small acts of kindness that then in turn get multiplied and return back to us. So I gave him a shout out. I yelled over to him and I said, "Hey, just want to say thank you for doing that." And he just like smiled and shrugged his shoulders like it was something he would have done no matter what. I just thought that was powerful. Would you agree with the little things that we do when we pay attention I don't know what your thoughts are on vibration and frequency and what we send out into the universe, but I'd be interested to hear what you have to say about that. Either of
Oh,
you.
absolutely. I am a big, big believer in the law of attraction and what we put out, the frequency that we're putting out of love and of abundance and creation, we're going to get all of the things that we desire because of the prosperity that we're like building in our body to like really attract that frequency. There have been times in this process where I like was connected to so many people and like people are just coming out of the woodwork now to like build even more meaningful connection. I have a friend, Mary D. She is a powerhouse entrepreneur, like so heart centered, just an amazing leader and mentor for me. And she reached out to me and she was like, hey, like, this is my friend Sloan, and she runs this women's group in Austin, and I think you would love it. And they talk about, the things that women have in common to like deepen their connection and strengthen community. And I was like, oh, like, hello, like it's so crazy how like when you raise your vibrational frequency to be around people who want to have these hard conversations where you're just vulnerable and you really let people see who you are, more of that will come to you. And from that, I think that I'm just growing at an exponential rate because of the experiences that I get to share and that others get to share with me to really contribute to my life and my vision for what we're building together.
It's freaking exciting.
So exciting.
And I was thinking too, Silas, you were talking about growing up with religion, which I did too. And we talk about things like this, like frequency and the universe multiplying and sending back and being rigged in our favor. And people think a lot of that is woo woo. And I pastored a church for a number of years, and so I relate a lot of this. I'm able to see also in Christianity. There's a verse that says, "Give, and it will be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over in your lap." Talking about giving, it is better to give than to receive. And then another verse that says, "Don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing when you're giving." To talk about, we're not doing this to be seen, and how powerful that is. So you might think it's woo woo, but it's not woo woo. It's true. It's just the law of the universe. It's the way things work. I don't know. Silas, I don't even know if you grew up with that kind of thinking or mentality in your home at all, or
Man, I mean, when it comes to it came to growing up in with religion, it's just been um, very like traditional, just really more about biblical stuff. But when that last aspect of what you mentioned there is, yeah, the universe, right? And I've been really thinking lately about the different timelines, right, and how things are happening, right? And there's different versions of you, and there's infinite timelines, and things are happening in all different versions. And so when you get to tap into the right frequency or the frequency of what it is that you want, um, ultimately how you attract the things that you are actually looking for. But I've also learned recently that it's more of you get what you are, right, not what you want. And that wasn't something that was necessarily taught to me by religion. Religion was kind of more like just being a certain way and trying to fit into this box is what it felt like for me, at least.
yep.
So yeah, I think exploring this whole idea of the universe and really showing up in a certain way to attract the things that you want um, is amazing. Honestly, like there's aspects of that in religion, but definitely very different from the type of work we're doing now.
Yeah. You attract what you are, not what you want. I really like that. And I believe that to be true. I have some quotes I'm going to throw out and just see what your thoughts are on them. I would love to hear your thoughts if you'd comment. Um, there's a couple of them. The first one is, the hardest thing for people to see is themselves. And if you aren't willing to sit with yourself and experience the sensations and emotions that have been suppressed, no one in this entire universe can help. There is nothing that can be done. Sit with yourself and show up and life will show up for you. And that's J. Mike Fai's quote. What are your thoughts on that? Either of you?
Oh man, that just brought me back to second weekend. Uh, yeah, I realized how powerful I am and the power of my thoughts and my emotions and how that will affect the things that happen to me in the day. Um, you two know that I had a very significant breakdown the second weekend because I was affected by the CrowdStrike outage. I was grounded in California, couldn't get to Austin on that flight, and I ended up taking a last minute flight, 7 in the morning, took an Uber from SFO to San Jose, and then took 2 flights to get to Austin.
Oh,
And, you know, y'all know what happened. And I was in complete breakdown because I was coming out of fear. I was really like, the things I was telling myself was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to show up late. I'm not going to make it. They're not going to let me continue. I'm going to, this, that, the other, something bad's going to happen. And like, as much as that part of me was like, just believe, just believe, just believe. And that belief was there and it got me where I was supposed to be. I was still torn up from being, sleep deprived. And I think it's kind of like a running joke at this point with our group. Like I have cried so many times. I just am like a fountain because it's like it's all just pouring out of me in real time of like how strong the emotions are that I feel, crying from sadness, crying from anger, crying from joy, crying from laughing too hard, right? My spectrum is all over the place. And I think because I'm as open as I am, I've really been able to reflect my emotions and absorb other people's emotions to really like feel connected and to feel like, wow, like everything bad that happened is neutral and I get to choose what I'm going to create with that energy because that's how powerful I am.
yep,
Because I'm I'm a freaking powerhouse. I can control my thoughts, I can control my actions and therefore control the results of what I create in my life.
yep.
So I
That's
can
right.
operate from fear or I can operate from love, and I'm always going to be choosing love.
Yep. We get to write the story. And, you were sharing about your breakdown, but, I have to wonder that a lot of the times those breakdowns aren't just about the circumstances that we are just going through at that moment. I've seen for me that it's stuff that I've had buried, that just seems to come out sometimes at the most inopportune times. If we don't deal with that, it's not going anywhere. And I got a quote for you, Silas. Emotions must go somewhere. There we go. Feelings don't just vanish. If you think you've numbed it, forgotten it, or erased it, it will show up. It will make itself known in your triggers, your relationships, and your physical and mental well being. Don't ignore an emotion that demands your undivided attention. These precious teachers await your presence, and then they can pass. Your thoughts on that?
Wow. Very very timely because um I'm realizing that yeah, there are a lot of emotions that I've been essentially bottling up, right? Or there are emotions that I'm afraid to actually um allow myself to feel. And the more that I really suppress, the worse off that I am. The more that I allow myself to actually feel all of the emotions, whether they're perceived as good or bad in my mind, it's irrelevant because those emotions do have to truly go somewhere. And the thing I've learned really lately is a lot of the time when my body is in physical pain, it's actually a manifestation of the energy that I haven't moved from the emotions. And I mean, hey, life is energy, and emotions are energy in motion, and that stuff just bottles around, kind of pinballs around in your body, unless you're able to move it using a specific set of tools. And yeah, I've really come to realize the power of those emotions and how much I get to actually allow myself to just feel those emotions and process those emotions properly, and allow myself to just move on and not just get so stuck and bogged down by certain emotions.
Mm. I love that. That quote, by the way, was by a gentleman by the name of Vex King. Energy. We've talked about that on this podcast many times, but I've mentioned if you take your hand and put it under a microscope, when you begin to see all the atoms and particles and subatomic particles and whatever, it's like all moving around. We are energy. I mean, I don't know if you've ever walked across a carpet and then touched someone and they get a shock. I mean, we are energy. That's why we are affected by all kinds of things in the universe. And so this next quote is the universe, and I'll give this one to you, Javi. The universe is not punishing you or blessing you with karma. The universe is responding to the vibrational energy you are sending out. Be mindful of what you bring into existence. And for those on this listening in that may have a religious background and the word karma sends you into a tizzy, it is no different than reaping and sowing. So the universe is not punishing you or blessing you. God is not punishing you or blessing you by reaping and sowing. It's the universe is responding to the vibrational energy you are sending out. Be mindful of what you bring into existence. Javi, your thoughts on that one?
Mm. Wow. Yeah. So Silas and I come from different religious backgrounds. I was raised in a Muslim household and he was raised as a Christian. And it's interesting. I think we were in college when we said to each other, we're like, our books like have a lot of the same stories, right? The names are just pronounced differently. And we're like, oh, like that's funny. It's like, oh yeah, my parents taught me this. Did your parents teach you that? It's like, yeah, my parents did teach me that. So just thinking about like creator and universe and how much overlap there is there. But even though people want to say that things are so different between people, it's really not. And I think, yeah, I think we are all the creators of our own story. And I think regardless of what external circumstances come our way, we've talked about it, everything is neutral. Everything that happens in our life is a neutral event until we assign it meaning. And so anything that I can perceive as good, or if I take a compliment and really take it to heart and put so much value on this good thing that this person said to me, it's the same thing as putting the same assigning the same meaning to something that someone, like an insult that someone said to me that's like bad, right? And letting either of those dichotomies affect me, that's giving my power away. Then I'm relying on external validation or external condemnation to tell me who I am and to tell me how I'm supposed to feel. And that's not a healthy way to live, where you are consistently concerned with what's going on outside of you, when really it's all coming from inside of you. And to take responsibility for the insult and the compliment, right? Because at the end of the day, it's you with you. So assigning that meaning is something that you have to hold in your heart, and do with it what you please. So we all have the same choice to, take what we get and make something with it.
Mm-hmm. Funny that at 63, I never knew I had the choice up until, a few years back. You just thought you just went with whatever was running around in your head. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
So this, I've got just a couple more. And this one is what we don't I shared this last week too, but what we don't deal with from our past, we leave to our children as an inheritance. And I just want to say, I'm so grateful to have you both on here today because, seeing that you're doing the work lets me know that generations to follow will be so much better off. Um, this last quote that I have, I'll open it up and you can go first, Silas, if you would, but I'd like to hear from both of you on this one. And this is a Lao Tzu quote. If you want to awaken all of humanity, then awaken all of yourself. If you want to eliminate the suffering in the world, then eliminate all that is dark and negative in yourself. Truly, the greatest gift you have to give is that of your own self transformation. Silas, I'll
Mm,
let you start first on that one.
yeah, that's beautiful because I think there's this tendency to want to fix other people.
Mm,
And I think the analogy of put your oxygen mask on first just really resonated with me, right? Because unless you put that oxygen mask on, I mean, you might not be able to actually help the person next to you in the case of that particular disaster. So I think really taking the time and putting in the work, right? They call it the work for a reason because it's not easy, but putting yourself through that kind of process and taking the time and effort um, to really explore the rough edges and to really explore outside of your comfort zone are the things that then allow you to go and create what it is that you want to create in the world. But it's a really a matter of looking inward and then looking outward. And I've really come to realize that quite a bit that that uh, I tend to project a lot of my um, kind of stuff rather than really just working on it and working through it before going and going out into the world. And especially lately, it's been I've been and noticing how much my internal state really creates the reality that I'm creating for myself. And so I get to just continue to really dig in and dig deep and work on myself so I can continue to um, branch outward and just create a better world in the best way that I possibly can, at least in uh, my area and the people around me.
awesome. Yeah, to me, it's a lifelong journey. I see things every day. Um, Javi, what do you think about that quote?
Yeah. Um, Obviously Silas and I have been together for a very long time, and like we're a unit, right? We're a married couple. We've grown together over this past decade. And I think that we used to have a tendency to kind of, I mean, we have friends, we go out and we, parties and whatever, but we also were very like, this is us though. This is our unit. And I think being in ALA has allowed us to like take our strength as that unit and be of service to others and really involve other people in our lives in a more meaningful way. Because when you focus out, the things that you are dreaming of and wanting will somehow find you because you're multiplying your frequency
Mm,
and really generating that energy of being a giver. And givers receive because of how much they give, right? It's that attraction, that law of the universe, where if you're staying in one spot and you're not contributing and you're not, putting yourself out there, you're not opening up these pathways for more things to come to you.
mhm.
Whereas when you're out there and you're a giver and you're connecting with people, that gives people more opportunities to connect with you and to give to you. And so you can receive. So I think it is very important that we stay cognizant of the fact that, Silas and I are a unit, but we also get to spread and share our love with other people because, that's who we are. We're generous people. So,
Yes,
I
you
think
are.
that's the only way to live.
Love that. Yes, you are generous people. So let's talk about how folks can reach out to you. And Silas, we haven't yet talked about what you're working on as far as your business that you and I think you said your brother got started. Let's switch gears a little bit and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm available on Instagram, and that would be just at Silas K. And then here we've got Atlas Assistance, which is an executive assistant training and placement agency. So essentially, rather than going and hiring your own executive assistant and figuring out how to best work with that person, we help a lot of very busy entrepreneurs, CEOs, executives, business owners hire and properly onboard and train their executive assistant so they can really jump in as quickly as they possibly can and help you do less of the work you don't like to do and do more of the things that actually light you up, really allowing you to grow your business and focus on the things that matter and move the needle the most.
Awesome. It sounds like a wonderful thing. Well, let's put up, and we've got Javi's contact information as well. We're going to put up a little screen for our video watchers. So we've got Silas and Javi Kim, their contact information. Silas is as Instagram is at Silas K, Silask. The company he mentioned is Atlas Assistance. That's there as well. And Javi's Instagram account is _Javi_XO. And her TikTok account is Javi Kim, JAVIKIM1. So please reach out, follow them there. And also, I know that they would love to hear from you. So you can reach out and with their social media accounts there and let them know that they made a difference for you today. I'm sure that you can reach out to them and ask them about Ascension Leadership Academy. Ask them about their journey and emotional intelligence, and they can hook you up.
Absolutely.
Would love that. And as always, you can reach out to me as well on our webpage at theawakencollective.org. It has links to all my social media, email. You can reach me via email along with coaching services, including a complimentary one-on-one call. There are books that I have written, a couple of books, working on a new one with my son right now. I've mentioned that. And the books that I would highly recommend that have significantly impacted my life, those are all out there as well with links to them. All sorts of good stuff, and I would love to hear from you, especially if you're struggling in any way. Please reach out. You are not intended to do this life alone. Believe me, I think all three of us on this podcast today can tell you that we've tried it. It's not meant to be lived alone. We need one another. We are connected. Thank you again to Javi and Silas. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Rick. It's been a
Thank you, Rick.
pleasure.
It's a joy to be on this journey with y'all. And thank you again to Audio Alchemy Productions, Daniel Anderson. Until next time, my friends, love and kindness, always.